Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I just gotta say right out of the gate, I apologize. This is the third video that I'm giving you that is in this kind of makeshift studio, as it were. This is my bedroom. I don't like how this setup is, but I've been traveling a lot in the last few weeks, and so this has kind of just been a temporary thing. So apologize for that. Thanks for bearing with. I'm actually getting ready to go to Arizona to see the Diamondbacks play in the NLCS against the Phillies. So by the time this video is going up, hopefully the Diamondbacks have taken a lead in the series. We'll see how that goes. We're coming at you today with another video ranking the logos in a collegiate conference. In this case, it's going to be the Southland Conference, which is a conference made up of teams exclusively in Texas and Louisiana. There's 5 teams in each of those states, and this one's kind of near and dear to my heart because I've done some stuff for Incarnate Word University. They're based here in San Antonio, which is where I live, and I'm a huge fan of that school and this conference as a whole. Now, we're kind of in a string of videos right now where we're kind of highlighting FCS football specifically, but what's interesting to note about the Southland Conference is that 2 of these schools in this conference do not have football at all. So there's really only 8 schools in this conference that participate in the FCS level of NCAA Division I football. I'll point them out. There's 2 schools of these 10 teams we're going to talk about here today that do not have football. A final piece of housekeeping before we go ahead and jump right in. This channel did just hit 500 subscribers last week, and I am very thankful for all 500 plus of you for your support, for your engagement, and for your contribution to this channel. I love doing what I'm doing here with talking about football, baseball, all things sport related, especially in terms of logos. I'm just a huge fan of sport logos, and it's awesome to find a niche community that is just as into that as I am. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, if these videos have brought you enjoyment, engagement, and you've appreciated them, I appreciate your appreciation. So thank you one and all for your continued support. Let's go ahead and get right into today's video talking about the 10 teams in the Southland Conference. We're going to look at all their logos, starting from worst, going to first. It's going to start us off at number 10 today with the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders. Quite a mouthful to say with this team name. Now, I like the Islanders a lot, mostly because, again, I live in San Antonio. Corpus is only about 2.5 hours away from me. And for that reason, for just the locality of the school, I got to support. But this logo has never done it for me. It's a bit on the yikes side. I can get behind the colors. They're not super common. They're actually pretty unique in that regard, with that blue and the green and the white going on. Hello, Marty. With that wave in the oval that we can see in the middle of the eye, it makes it that much harder to even see that you are looking at an eye in the background of this logo. And overall, I just think that this is trying to do too much and missing at everything. It's just not great. At number 9, we're looking at the Demons of Northwestern State University. A&M Corpus, by the way, is one of the 2 teams that I alluded to that does not have a football program, so the more you know. Now, I like this logo because of its inclusion of the outline of the state of Louisiana in the background. I think that's just always a nice touch to kind of give a nod to the area that you represent and the state that you play in. But beyond that, the N for Northwestern State and the trident going through it, I like where they're going with that. I like that the vibe and the energy that's putting out, but the flames look a little kind of like early 90s clip arty. It's a little too hectic and chaotic with the flames and the outline of Louisiana, because that is a very detailed silhouette that we see there for the borders of Louisiana, and it's kind of clashing with those flames a little bit. I feel like Northwestern State does kind of alternate between using this Louisiana outline and this demon-y guy that we can see over here, and I do like this demon guy a little bit better. He's very mischievous and has a lot of personality, and he's got like the flaming hairdo, which is in keeping with the flames around the N of Northwestern State in the Louisiana logo. So all in all, as a package deal, these 2 logos are pretty good. Honestly, they're not bad at all, but I just feel like everything going forward here is just a little bit better. And so this kind of just goes to show that the Southland Conference actually has some pretty strong logos. And just for fun, here's some older versions of the Louisiana outline and the devil. This guy creeps me the F out. At number 8, we've got Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas, home to the Cardinals. Now, Lamar's pretty interesting because this is kind of their primary logo that they use, with the Cardinal in the background and Lamar University kind of stretched across in kind of like big, bold letters, which I'm into. It's not horrible. I just feel like it gets a little cluttered because I want to see more focus on the Cardinal itself, because I feel like the Cardinal is just a little bit more interesting. I don't like to see this big blocky word mark of Lamar University. Lamar, I feel, has a hard time deciding between, do they want to focus in on the school named Lamar, or do they want to focus in on their Cardinal? So here's an LU with a Cardinal, for example, LU for Lamar. Sometimes I see this school just use that LU without the Cardinal in the background, but then sometimes I see them just use the Cardinal on its own. So if this was the primary logo, I think I might rank it a little higher, but as it is, this is kind of their official primary logo that they're using, and it just feels just too cluttered overall. As a spoiler, we're going to see another Cardinal in this ranking, and the one that we're going to see ahead is just a lot more interesting. Special shout out to this kind of like older logo, which is too busy for its own good, but still pretty fun to look at, kind of a sign of the times in the 90s. And then this one over here I like a lot too, which kind of has this star in a pentagon shape with one single red LU. All the other LUs that you can see there are black, and I just think that that is really nice. This is super cool. At number 7, we've got the most recent addition to the Southland Conference. This is the Texas A&M Commerce Lions. And actually, this school was playing in Division II up until 2022, so it was kind of a big move to go from D2 all the way up to NCAA Division I FCS. And we've been seeing that a lot in college athletics as a whole. There's been so much, not even just conference realignment, but a lot of jumps from either the D2 level or FCS up to FBS. And I think it's pretty cool to see. So for many folks, you're probably looking at this logo for the first time, and I think you might agree that it's pretty clean overall. Very gentlemanly looking lion over here. And I do like the circle that he's encapsulated in. I think the colors are great too, with that kind of navy blue and gold. It's very stoic, this lion is. Really the only reason that I have it ranked as low as it is. This would be really high in so many other leagues, but I put it at number 7 because this kind of just looks more of like a financial logo. This is giving me investment banking firm kind of vibes more so than a collegiate athletic logo. So while it does still look very good, I just don't think it matches the vibe of NCAA Division I logo, in my opinion. At number 6, this is the other school that does not participate in football in the Southland Conference. This is the New Orleans Privateers. Very unique team name here. This is a team that has seen some just crazy logos throughout its history, some of which are just very chaotic, but all had like pretty awesome energy as a whole. I love this dude right here with his eye patch. It's just hilarious looking to me. New Orleans has always had some pretty crazy looking logos with their Privateers, but the one that they're rocking with now, very, very strong. I think this could really benefit from not having all that text above with New Orleans and Privateers. This would probably stand out a little bit better as a whole. You know, while it's nice to know what we're looking at here, there may not be many people familiar with the New Orleans Privateers. I know it's certainly not a logo that I see a ton. I just think that that text up there just really kind of clutters everything up. But again, as a whole, this is quite strong though. The coloring, the shading, the intensity of that Privateer are all on full display here. I also really appreciate that we can see in the background as part of the Privateer the fleur de lis, which I never know if I'm saying correctly because I'm not a French speaker, but that is basically like a symbol for France, and kind of specifically the city of New Orleans. I feel it's just very symbolic, and I really appreciate that the University of New Orleans would use this symbol in its logoing. I mean, it feels like a no-brainer, but they did it really well, and it's incorporated beautifully, and this is fantastic. Just lose some of the text up there, and we're talking. At number 9, maybe a sleeper pick here. I went with Nicholls State, home of the Colonels. You look at this and you're like, all right, yeah, it's a red N with a sword, sure. And that's really what I love about this logo, is that simplicity. If we look at some of their old logos throughout their history here, we see they really leaned into that Colonel vibe, which is not a bad thing. I think that these all look great, but it took them a little while to kind of hone in on like, okay, let's just focus on the N for Nicholls State, and then we'll just use that sword, which is kind of this common denominator among these Colonels. It's like the symbol that we can use to identify that this is Nicholls State, home of the Colonels. And what they've done with their current version is kind of give it this layered look where it's sort of, you know, weaving in and out of the points of that N, which is super cool. It's not behind or in front, it's weaving right through that N. It's simple in its design, but it's very creatively done. It's very unique, and this is something that really stands out. It looks awesome on a football helmet too, by the way, and I'm just a big fan overall. Nicholls State, 2 thumbs up. Coming in at number 4, we've got the McNeese State Cowboys. This is another kind of sneaky pick here. This kind of looks like if you took a combination of the Wyoming Cowboys and the Michigan Wolverines, you'd get something like McNeese State. And overall, I think this is insanely strong with the silhouette of that cowboy, which has a lot of energy and motion to it. And then that M for McNeese also just looks really cool. This is one of those programs that really has not had a need to change their logo throughout their history. It's always kind of been more or less just like this. They found a recipe that works, and this has absolutely stood the test of time. This is just a very energetic logo that's very well overdone. There's a lot to be excited about here, but my top 3, I think really stand out in this conference. And that's going to start us off with the Incarnate Word Cardinals, the University of the Incarnate Word. I had alluded to the fact that I have done production work for this team in the past and will continue to do so because it's just up the road for me. And I love looking at this logo. I mean, this thing has so much aggression and energy to it. Like, this is a very scary looking cardinal. and I'm absolutely here for it. I think mostly it's the fact that he doesn't have a pupil, so it's just like you see the white of his eye exclusively. It's kind of freaky, and I love his sleekness. Like the top of his head is very curved, and it's just like he's ready to just like charge into battle in that regard. So there's a lot of like potential energy with this logo. They do have some logos that include the UIW for the University of Incarnate Word, and they do a great job of incorporating just the letters of UIW into the actual cardinal itself, because the second you start putting in, University of the Incarnate Word, it becomes just too cluttered with text. Like here's an old logo like that that kind of just has, it looks cool just because it looks vintage and retro, but it just is a little too word heavy, and that's where it starts to lose me a little bit. We saw that with New Orleans, for example. Logos that can just be a little too text-based. So this one just having just that intense looking cardinal, yeah, this is awesome. Well deserving of a number 3 spot, but coming in at number 2, it's going to give us Southeastern Louisiana. So the Lions here have by far the best throwback or vintage logos that we're going to look at today. I mean, take a look at some of these beauties. There's like not a single miss. I do appreciate that they've focused on that lion having a lot of intense energy to it, whether it's like cartoony or goofy like this guy up here, or intense aggressiveness like maybe this guy over here, for example. There's not been a miss. They've really leaned into this lion, and it's looked just very cool from day one. And one of my favorite little pieces about this branding as a whole is the use of the outline of Louisiana. We saw this with our number 9 logo with Northwestern State, but with this, like, check out this SLU with using Louisiana as an L in the actual outline and border for Louisiana. I think this looks awesome. Louisiana is a very detailed state as far as its borders go. We don't need to see every little detail in there like we saw with Northwestern State. So I appreciate this version a lot more with Southeastern Louisiana University, with just using a little bit more modernized approach to making those borders of Louisiana. This is very strong, and overall, yeah, Southeastern Louisiana, a bit of a mouthful of a university to say, but this is pretty awesome. At number 1, though, we had to go to Houston, Texas, home of the Houston Christian Huskies. Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more fierce-looking dog logo in college athletics. This is up there among some of the best logos that I've ever seen in college sports as a whole. The symmetry, the intensity, the ferociousness, like that. I feel like every time I look away from my screen and then look back, like this husky has been staring at me the whole time, and I'm like borderline like afraid, man. This is scary. You can kind of see where my head was at when I was making these rankings, because this has a similar energy, almost exactly the same sort of like fierce energy that we saw with our last logo with Southeastern Louisiana. But this one gets the nod for a couple different reasons. I like the colors a lot better. That like kind of crisp orange along the outside border of this with that blue and white really snap and pop, and this looks awesome. And I do like seeing the pupils in this logo. Southeastern Louisiana and Incarnate Word, our numbers 2 and 3 picks, did not have pupils, and those look very tough and fierce, but I like seeing that orange pupil. It really kind of brings your attention when I'm looking at this logo. It's kind of where my eyes are drawn to, is that bright orange pupil. It's just full frontal in your face, this Houston Christian Husky. I keep wanting to say Houston Baptist because that's what the school was before they changed it to Houston Christian. So Houston Christian. So we can see they didn't have to change much. This is what it was when it was HBU for Houston Baptist, and here it is now. Kind of a modern take on this version with the school name, or with the lettering at least, HBU to HCU for Houston Christian. Yeah, overall, this is a fantastic logo, one of the best that we've seen on this channel, which I feel like I say every time I mention who I have ranked at number 1, but truly, not that I was just saying that all those other times, but this truly is one of the best logos that we've talked about on this channel, for real. And y'all, that's going to do it for another conference ranking. This was the Southland Conference. Very fun to talk about. A lot of teams here near and dear to my heart, mostly just Incarnate Word, but still. As always, please drop a like, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know which leagues or logos you'd like to see discussed in future videos. I do have a whole list of ones that I'm going down, so I'm trying to crank out one a week. Saturday, I think, is a great day for that, because I know we're all watching college football on that day, unless, again, you're going to Phoenix or elsewhere. So I thank you for clicking. I thank you for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you in a future video. Thanks, guys, as always. Catch you later.